All right, everybody, here we are. It is Wednesday, June 10th, 2020. Status post Fed Day. I have a lot to cover here with you. Some of this stuff is utterly shocking. We got two stunning admissions today from Fed Chair Powell, also known as Yellowstain. And we found out some other interesting things. So let's start off with the markets. Okay, this market was all over the place today. Negative, positive, negative again. But the Nasdaq did close at yet again another record high. 3 days in a row for the Nasdaq to hit record highs. Dow Jones, the industrial average, fell about 250 points. And the S&P 500, also a little pressure here. I'm very disappointed. I honestly am. This market does need to give some back. But in this environment, after what we heard today from Fed Chair Powell, it's got nowhere to go but higher. All right, now let's elaborate. This is what Fed Chair Powell said. Rates will remain near zero from here all the way through 2022 with no chance of a rate hike. What happened to being data dependent? Remember all that? They're not data dependent anymore. It's just go, go, go. Easy money. Now, the easy money gets even easier. He explained the Federal Reserve will be increasing its purchases of treasuries and increasing its purchases of mortgage-backed securities. I personally think this is something the market wants to hear because it's obsessed with greed. It's obsessed with easy money. Actually, he made another admission. He made 3 shocking admissions today. Let's cover these things real quick. Number 1, he admitted that the Federal Reserve's actions are affecting the stock market in a positive way. Really? Oh, okay. He also admitted that, you better sit down for this one, millions of people will not be returning to their jobs. Yeah, you heard right. That flies right in the face of what we've been hearing from the president, from Larry Kudlow. You know, it's just too much. From Steve Mnuchin as well. So who do you believe? Obviously, we know who's correct here. Millions of people will not be returning to their jobs. They've been culled. They are persona non grata. Small businesses are gone by the millions. Okay, this was a deliberate act. He also went on to say, another shocking admission, that those people that are in the higher echelon of earnings, well, their earning has gone higher, while those in the middle class and the lower rung have gone virtually nowhere. So high earners, you're doing great. You're doing really good. You're earning more than ever. But everyone else, you're getting destroyed. But I think you knew that already. And do you think it's going to get any better as the Federal Reserve keeps interest rates near zero through 2022, making sure you get robbed blind if you have an interest earning account, while they buy more treasuries, while they buy more mortgage-backed securities? I'll tell you something else we found out. The budget deficit year over year increased 92%. Now, I know for a fact that if you follow this blog, you're not surprised because I've explained to you that debts and deficits are going to continue to explode. We haven't seen anything yet. Nothing with regard to... And who's going to make up the difference? I'm going to give you one guess. The Federal Reserve. They're finishing their grand plan, their final solution. And they're playing right into it. And also, how about this one? The Federal Reserve went off the deep end talking about equality. Meanwhile, Jay Powell made it pretty simple to understand that if you are in the upper end of society, you're in the higher end over there, you're doing great. But if you're not, black, white, green, whatever color you might be, you're screwed. Yeah, that's what this whole thing is about. You know that. Why do you think we have a cheerleader in chief? Rah, rah, rah. New record highs for stocks. I'm surprised he's not out cheerleading about the NASDAQ. He probably is. 3 days in a row of new record highs. You don't matter if you've lost your job. If you're one of those millions that Jay Powell said you're not getting your job back, well, you don't matter. Zero. Not to anyone. Not to the president. Certainly not to Jay Powell. Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely freaking not. So let's talk about a couple of other assets here. On the news of near zero rates from here to eternity, cryptocurrency got bid higher, silver got bid higher, gold got bid higher, dollar fell, and wouldn't you guess, crude oil finished higher as well. They're going to prop it up. You know that. People, look, it's all of this, all it does for us is make our lives easy. All right, we know what to do. We know what the grand plan is. We know what the master plan is. The master plan is for the Fed to take over the entire world. The master plan is for politicians, members of Congress to call for the Fed to do more. Call for the Fed to maybe go negative with regard to interest rates, allowing the Fed to fulfill its destiny. People, you have to understand that what I'm telling you is 100% factual. The Federal Reserve was created for one reason, to eventually, at one point in time, rule the earth. When they were given the power that they currently have, and these central banks started sprouting up all over the world, why do you think there are central banks all over the world, hundreds of them, and they all coordinate their efforts together? You think this is by accident? Of course not. It's by design. This has been by design for over 100 years. And now they're finishing it right here and right now. And Powell admitted right out here that if you are in the upper end of society, you're doing great. If you're in the middle class and lower class, it's over for you, 100%. And I've explained this to you since time immemorial about the two-tier society that is developing here. And the distortions, talk about a gap here between our economy, which is nowhere, budget deficits going up nearly 100% year over year, debts exploding. You think this is MAGA? You think this is how we make it all work? And I'm not just beating up on the president, because it wouldn't matter who sits behind the Resolute desk. You know, a lot of you people out here have your faith in the wrong place. It's one party, one freaking freak show. You understand? And the next freak in there is probably going to be more freaky than the current freak. And the current freak was freakier than the last freak. It just gets worse. It doesn't get better for us. You realize that? I really hope that you understand what you are up against. If you're a member of the middle class, you are in a nearly 100% lose-lose situation. Unless you try very, very hard to claw yourself up to that upper end of society, the one that Powell was referring to today, that their wages are going up and they're doing really well, and the actions of the Fed just might be affecting the stock market and maybe pushing it higher. Maybe, No, really. You can't make this stuff up. It's impossible to do. It's impossible to do. Meanwhile, you got CNBC. Did you see what's her name? The blonde girl, Sarah, talking about the discrepancy between the economy and the stock market. Even these people over there, they're in utter shock and disbelief by the current situation. But again, we know why it's going on. We understand the mechanism behind it, and it's only going to get worse. Debts are going to continue to explode. We haven't seen anything yet. Deficits are going to continue to explode. We ain't seen anything yet. The Fed's going to continue to issue more loans and debt to anyone that asks for it, because this is what they want to do. They want to be the lender and buyer of last resort. They want to own it all. They want to create slaves, as Gerald Celente says, Slavelandia. He's 100% right. I hope you read the article I just wrote in the Trends Journal. I think I covered it pretty well. Anyway, so look, in summary here, Yeah, Greg was disappointed today. Even though the Dow Jones Industrial Average fell a little bit and the S&P 500 fell, a new record high for the NASDAQ, this market needs to give back. But when you have a Federal Reserve promising to keep rates suppressed near zero through 2022 with no chance of a rate hike, more easy money for this market, they're going to increase their purchases of treasuries. They're going to increase their purchases of mortgage-backed securities. How can stocks fall? How can they fall? It almost seems like an impossibility. And like I said several weeks ago, they could split the earth in half and stocks will go up in this environment. When you got a situation like this, where else can it go? I mean, seriously. But again, what does that do for us? We're going to be on the right side of this, whether you're a trader, whether you're a stacker, whether you're someone that holds cryptocurrencies, whether you're all of the above like I am, holding assets. And going back to what I was saying before, if you are not right now today, if you do not consider yourself above middle class, you're done. You're 100% done unless you start clawing your way up by any means necessary. And again, I've laid out a strategy for all of you for nearly a decade on how you should have been pulling yourself out, getting yourself ready for the creation of this feudal system which is coming down the pike. I really, really hope you're there. Because if you're not there, as this thing around us continues to develop and become more hideous and more ugly, you're going to wish you did. I'm out of here. Love you a lot. Please share the video. See you tomorrow.